Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janaballabha Girid Varadhari. Gopi Janaballabha Girid Varadhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Srila Prabhupada ki. Go Premanandi.
Hari Hari Bol.
Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yes, it is a surprise that I'm here today. Surprise to you, perhaps, and also surprise to me. I was yesterday at the Radha Govinda Mandir in New York, speaking with your leaders. And I thought, although I'm scheduled to speak at Radha Govinda Mandir this evening, I thought I would deviate and finally come to see what your Sunday gathering is like.
Hari Bol.
I'm very impressed by the enthusiasm. You see, more important than having a flashy facility, more important than that is the enthusiasm for hearing and chanting about Krishna. Enthusiasm for serving Krishna. That is priceless. So you can have a palatial mandir, but without the enthusiasm of the devotees, there's no point. But if you have the devotee enthusiasm, then you have the greatest wealth. You have the Bhakti Palace. Because that enthusiasm is the internal potency of Krishna. So let us always remember, what are the real jewels? Utsaha Nishchaya Dayat, Rupa Goswami says, enthusiasm, patience, and determination. We want to render service to Krishna in a pleasing way. We're approaching Sri Krishna Janmashtami and Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja. In the run-up to those days, it is always very good to think about the uniqueness of Krishna's appearance in this world. In Bhagavad Gita, as well as in Srimad Bhagavatam, you find the basic elements that are necessary to understand if at all we're going to comprehend Krishna's appearance. It's always good to review that. Most of you know that the Srimad Bhagavatam is the form of Lord Krishna. And the 10th canto is his face. So all the 9 cantos prepare you for that smiling face, Krishna Leela, Krishna pastimes. You start at the feet. The first few cantos are the feet. Just like when you first look at the deities, you start at the feet and raise your vision. That's a sign of showing respect. I had the good fortune to practice that with Srila Prabhupada in person. He was touring the BBT in Los Angeles, 1975. And this was at the start of the famous Chaitanya Charitamrita Marathon. You've all heard about that? No? Srila Prabhupada was very disturbed that his books were coming out too slowly. They were being published too slowly. The BBT publishing department was putting out maybe 1 book every 6 months. And they thought that was satisfactory, but Srila Prabhupada wanted something much quicker. The Chaitanya Charitamrita was waiting. The 5th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, was waiting. So he gathered the leaders and he conveyed his deep concern and dissatisfaction. The leaders took that on board. These were big managers at the time. So what did they do? They met that night and came up with a grand plan how to increase. On the next morning walk, they presented the plan to Srila Prabhupada. What was the plan? They were so proud. Prabhupada, we will increase the book publication by 6 times. Instead of 1 book every 6 months, we'll give you 1 book every month. Now all the managers here and the executives and CFOs here, you would all agree. A 6-fold improvement. This is very good management, yes. Very competent. What was Srila Prabhupada's reaction? No. I want all 17 volumes that you're behind with, I want them all in 2 months. How devotees were just flabbergasted. They were just, how can I convey to you how astounding that sounded? You all are practical minded. You understand management, business, finance, IT, engineering. So when you hear something like that, it's like saying, I want you to buy some land and build a skyscraper in 2 months. You just immediately your mind rejects it. And of course, that's what happened with these devotees, but they couldn't say that to Srila Prabhupada, but in their mind they're thinking. Finally, one of the devotees blurted out, Prabhupada, that's impossible. And Prabhupada replied, that famous statement, impossible is a word in the fool's dictionary. Still, everyone was thinking, well, I guess we're fools, and that's just the way it's going to be. But then they saw Srila Prabhupada's anger. And he told them, unless this is done, he just indicated, you all are finished. I'm finished with you. So everyone was just shaking. Said something very strong. Unless you do this, then you all are rascals. A very strong word in India. In the West, they use it casually, but in India, everyone knows. Very pungent, strong word. So devotees felt that strongness of the word, and they knew that they had to try to do the impossible. So it's like someone saying to you, when you see dry land, someone's saying to you, it's water, go swim. And when you see water, someone says, no, it's dry land, walk. It's like that. What would you have all done getting such an order? What would you tell your Guru Maharaj? But you couldn't say anything like that to Srila Prabhupada. So devotees, their minds were fractured. Yet, they went back to the drawing board and they started to take the idea seriously. And once they started taking it seriously, a spiritual energy descended. They started just making plans. We can't see how this is going to happen, but we're going to move forward anyway. So a team was gathered. At that time, I was a New York devotee. This is 1975. And my service for 2 years was doing book distribution, often in this very area, Paramus and Bergen County. Never did we think there would be such a group of enthusiastic devotees here. We used to live in a van and distribute books up and down in New Jersey. But then, because of health reasons, I had to change services right at the time when Prabhupada wanted his book production accelerated. So then I was sent to Los Angeles because the weather was better and also because I had abilities that they could use in this great effort. So Srila Prabhupada came to do a tour of the BBT. He came into my office. And I remembered reading in Srimad Bhagavatam purports that you look at the deity or a saintly person first at the feet and then raise your vision. So similarly, we approach Srimad Bhagavatam, we approach Krishna through the first 9 cantos, and then we're ready for the smiling face, the 10th canto. Of course, you already have the 10th canto in a very appropriate form, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as the Krishna book. There you have Krishna Leela presented in such a way that you can't make offense. The Leela is couched in Tattva, the science of the Supreme. For those of you who are curious about it, Srila Prabhupada said that this Krishna book was his favorite book. He would have it read to him, and he would say, I didn't write this, Krishna wrote it. So yes, to understand Krishna in truth is necessary for someone who wants genuine spiritual advancement. There's so much misunderstanding about Krishna. East, West, North, South, USA, India. There's so much misunderstanding about Krishna. I was flying on Air India once, and I looked at their flight magazine and had something about Krishna and holy places. And the article said, Krishna is the Hindu forest love god. So even in the land of Krishna, there's so much misunderstanding. Why did Krishna do this? Why did Krishna do that? How can God do this? How can God do that? Aren't there many gods? Isn't the impersonal Brahman, isn't that superior to Krishna? On and on the misunderstandings go. This is why Krishna in Bhagavad Gita describes himself, even defends himself. People think I'm this. People think I'm that. They don't understand my supreme dominion over all that be. So in Bhagavad Gita, you have Krishna presenting himself. And then in Srimad Bhagavatam, you hear all about the details of Krishna's activities, form, qualities. Never take that for granted. Always understand how special it is to receive accurate, genuine, authorized information about Krishna. I remember during my last year at Yale University, my goal during my university days was to find a solution to all the world's problems. But then, by the time of my senior year, after studying under the greatest intellects, the greatest professors, the ones who write the books that everyone else studies from, by the time of my 4th year, I could see there is no material solution to the world's problems. So I thought, let me try something different. Let me take a course that presents Bhagavad Gita. So I made the ultimate sacrifice to take a course that covered Bhagavad Gita. This course met at 8 a.m. And being a genuine university student of that day, we never took courses before 11 a.m. But I thought, to understand Bhagavad Gita, I'll make the supreme sacrifice. I will get up at 7:30 and attend this course. So on the first day of the course, world famous teacher, still world famous, he gave the assignment. I want you to read a section of the Upanishads and write an essay on what you think it means. And I thought, wait a minute. I'm getting up so early in the morning just for someone to tell me I should speculate? What do I know about the Upanishads? So I said, I'm not going to take this course, but what I will do is go to the university bookshop and get all the recommended books for this course, one of which was Bhagavad Gita, a version of Bhagavad Gita. So I got this version, and I took it to my room, and I looked at it. It had verses in the front, and the translator's commentary in the back. So I just looked at the commentary, and I saw something that I didn't know anything about Krishna, but something just shocked me. I read, Krishna is a concept meant to satisfy both the intellectuals and the sentimentalists. It was by a British scholar, this version of Bhagavad Gita. But something in my heart, someone in my heart told me, slam this book shut and toss it in the rubbish bin. So I did it. I just into the rubbish. In my mind, I was thinking, this attempted version of Bhagavad Gita is by a British imperialist colonialist. That's how students thought back then, you know. We were by a British exploiter. One day I said, I'm going to find a native translation of this book, and then one day I'll be able to understand it. So yes, a few months later, upon graduation, while the offers for the corporate world were piling up, AT&T, General Motors, General Electric. While that was happening, at the same time, I got a real Bhagavad Gita as it is. I was taking the PATH train from Manhattan to Jersey City to meet some acquaintances. And there at the PATH station, Journal Square, was a devotee book distributor. And I approached him. What do you have there? And he had some small books. So I purchased one, and then I read the small book immediately and thought, I've never read anything like this before. I've never encountered such an intellect, such wisdom. So I made up my mind. Tomorrow I'm going to Manhattan to an East-West bookstore or something and find more books by this Swami whose name I can't pronounce. So I did. I went looking for Bhagavad Gita as it is. I purchased that and read it very quickly. I wanted more books, but I didn't want to associate with devotees. I thought they were very strange persons, advocating an alien culture. But the wisdom, I thought, I've never seen anything like this before. So what I would do is order more books from mail order, BBT mail order in Los Angeles. That way I wouldn't have to approach any devotee for books. So I would do that. I read 4 hours a day for 6 months straight without ever going to a temple, center, bhakti vriksha, nothing. 4 hours a day for 6 months straight. Bhagavad Gita, Sri Upanishad, Krishna book, Nectar, Devotion. I read them over and over again. Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Srimad Bhagavatam was not yet out, except for the very rough version that Prabhupada brought over on the boat. So there was no Srimad Bhagavatam as you know it now. So I just read what I had, the books that were out over and over again. Then one day I got a message, a letter from the BBT mail order in Los Angeles. One day I got a message that Srimad Bhagavatam is coming out in the West. deluxe edition for the first time. And the mailer described that this is the encyclopedia of the spiritual world, and how it takes all the themes of Bhagavad Gita and expands upon them. I thought, oh, this is just what I need. But I can't wait for this to come in the mail. I can't wait that long. I have to have it now. So I thought, there's only one way that I can get it now. I have to go find a devotee. I have to take that risk. So I was living on 90th and Central Park West. So I took the subway down to the Port Authority bus terminal because I knew devotees would be there trying to distribute books. So I thought, let me see if they'll stop me. So I walked past a Mataji who was distributing books once, twice. She didn't stop me. So I said, okay, I'm going to have to work up enough courage. I'll approach her. And I thought I would approach her and ask a routine question. I approached her and said, so as I was saying, I thought to approach and ask a routine question. I asked her, do you have Srimad Bhagavatam? Now, how often? I didn't know that this was a very rare question from 1972. So she blinked her eyes momentarily, and then she started asking me, how do you know about Srimad Bhagavatam? I said, look, I'm not here to answer questions. Just tell me if you have the book. But she was very expert. Well, no, tell me more. How do you know about this? And, have you been reading our books? I said, yes, I've been reading your books. But again, I'm not here to talk. But she just kept going on and on. And then she started talking about a new building that they're trying to get in New York. And she said, you would probably like it very much. It's going to have a library. It's going to have a restaurant. It's going to have an auditorium. It's going to be glorious. You probably could give money for that. I said, me give money? I said, I'm just 21 years old. How does a 21-year-old have money? She said, you live in Manhattan. I said, so what, 21-year-olds don't give money. I said, I've just graduated from university. How can I have money? I think you've got money. And you would like, if we get this new place, you'll like it so much. So this went on for 20 minutes. Finally, I thought I would kind of get her to go away. I said, even if I wanted to give you money, here's what I would do. I'd leave it to you in my will. She just looked at me and said, 21-year-olds don't have wills. Of course, she's right. I didn't have one. Finally, I said, okay, this will put her off. This will really do the job. I said, anyway, if I wanted to give you money, it's all uptown at my father's place. She said, let's go. This is, 42nd Street and 8th Avenue, wherever Port Authority is, and where I was living is 90th Street, Central Park West, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't stop her. She was, let's go, I'll go with you. Some or other I gave in. I don't know how I did that. All right. So she escorted me on the subway uptown, and we got to where I stayed, my father's apartment building. He's on the 14th floor. And So I told her, you stay down on the street. I'm not bringing you upstairs. Because back then, the Matajis, see, no one had been to India yet. So the Matajis, if they were married, they wore yellow sheets. And if they were unmarried, they wore pink sheets. Because this is before there was so many devotees going to India and bringing back saris. So that's the way it was then. So I thought to myself, I'm not taking this strange-looking girl with a yellow sheet on, with her head covered and a red dot on her forehead. No way. I can, So I said, you stay down on the sidewalk. So I went up, got my checkbook, came down, and I'll translate the money into today's value for $1. I came down and I gave her a check for $5,000. She took it and said, thank you very much, but I want 10. I said, wait a minute, what is this? She said, this is for Krishna. You've been reading all these books. I said, so what? I've been reading. I don't, look, I've never given a penny in charity in my life. I gave you a check for $5,000, and now you want 10. I couldn't dissuade her. She just wouldn't. She was so fixed. And then now I recognized that the super soul tricked me. You see, there were tall apartment buildings all around. So I heard this voice in my heart say, you better give her what she wants, because right now everyone's looking out of their windows, seeing you talk to this strange-looking girl. Just give her what she wants. Otherwise, your reputation in the neighborhood will be finished. I didn't know anyone in the neighborhood. It's New York City, Manhattan. You don't know your neighbors. But still. So I went back up on the 14th floor. I came down with another check for $10,000. So I thought, that's the end of that. Still, never been to a temple, Bhakti Vriksha, gathering, nothing. So then 2 weeks later, I was going through Port Authority to visit some friends at Yale who were still there. And the devotees at Port Authority saw me. Ah, there he is. I said, oh no. Well, they said they had some prasad in some lockers there where people store luggage. And so they said, come over, we have something very good for you to eat. So I did, and then they said, don't you want to give more money? I said, no. But again, same thing. Let's go back up to your father's place. I couldn't argue. I'd read too many books, I guess. I just couldn't argue. So again, back up to my father's apartment. And I came down with a check for another $10,000.
Oh my God.
So then the devotee told me, you've given $20,000. By the way, you are now a life member. I said, life member, what does that mean? She said, you can go to any of our temples throughout the world and stay there. I said, well, that's the first practical thing I've heard. I've always thought about doing a bit of traveling, London, Paris. And she said, meanwhile, before you start traveling, you might as well finally come visit the temple and see where all your money is going. I said, well, that's true. So the next Sunday, I worked up enough courage to come from Manhattan to Brooklyn. Otherwise, Manhattan people would never go to Brooklyn. But I decided to do that. The quest is all about trying to understand Krishna. Prabhupada presented the science of Krishna as it is. So what should we focus on as we approach Janmashtami? The last chapter of the 9th canto of Bhagavatam is the prelude, the appetizer for the 10th canto. There it's explained what Bhagavad Gita explains, that whenever and wherever there's a decline in dharma, Krishna appears. The exact term is dharmasya glani, meaning an imbalance in the material and spiritual affairs of society. The spiritual affairs should always have the number one priority over the material affairs. But if things go unbalanced, it means the material affairs are given more emphasis. And that's the situation you have today. People are ignoring the benefits that the human form of life gives, wasting their life. So this extraordinary imbalance between material and spiritual affairs is causing such havoc. And Krishna has appeared as his name. This is stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Kali Kale Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. In the age of Kali, Krishna appears as Nama Rupa in the form of his name. So at the end of the 9th canto, you learn from Shukadeva Goswami that Krishna creates the material world to give you a chance for liberation, to come out of the cycle of repeated birth and death. Sometimes people wonder, why did God create this world, a world that's full of such suffering? Yes, it's a fact. The world is full of suffering. Krishna explains that in Bhagavad Gita. Dukkalayam shashvatam. This material world is temporary and miserable. And we want to make it sukhalayam, a place of happiness. We try to do that, but material happiness is insubstantial, insufficient. So still the question, why would Krishna create such a world where there's suffering, which can't be denied by any sane person? You'd be surprised to know that Krishna has created this world out of affection. You say, what kind of affection is that? This world of birth and death, how can that be created out of affection? Maybe parents who have young children have seen your children throw a temper tantrum. They want something, and the parent says, no, you can't have it. It's not good for you. Were you like that when you were kids? What did you want? Yes.
I think it was a toy car or something, I believe.
Toy car.
Yeah.
And you were angry you couldn't get it?
Yeah. I think it was in Walmart or something. I kind of threw a fit, and finally.
How old were you?
I think I was 5 or 6.
6. You threw a fit.
Yeah.
So what finally happened?
Well, my dad eventually got it for me.
Why did your dad eventually get the car for you, the toy car?
Everyone was looking.
Huh?
Everyone was looking.
Everyone was looking. I'll tell you why he did it. Even though it wasn't the best for you, he did it out of affection. So similarly, Krishna creates the material world because you insist, you throw a fit. And Krishna says, all right, what can I do? You don't listen. It's out of affection, you know. If I don't give you this, you're going to drive yourself crazy. So therefore, take the material world. You insist, what can I do? It's affection. It may be a little hard for us to understand. But out of affection, your father got you the toy. You might say, oh, because everyone was looking, his social prestige was affected. No, he was feeling, oh, what can I do? He insists, he's throwing a fit. It would be better if he listened to me, but still I want to retain the connection with him. So, all right, I'll purchase the toy car. Similarly, Krishna has created this material world out of affection. Oh, you insist. You want to imitate me? You want to be the supreme controller and enjoyer? All right. Take the material world. You'll find out. It's affection. I know it's hard for us to see. Just like it was hard for you to understand your father's motives. Another example for us to understand why Krishna has created this illusory material world. Example I heard Srila Prabhupada give about a little boy. He was talking about his own son. Kept wanting to stick his finger in an electric fan as it turned. And Prabhupada kept telling him, no, that you can't do that. You'll get hurt. But the little kid kept trying to do that. So what did Srila Prabhupada do as a father? He pulled the plug out of the fan, and then the blades were still turning, but obviously slower. And then Prabhupada said, okay, now you can stick your finger in. So the kid was happy. But, the kid wasn't hurt because the electricity was cut off. The fan blades weren't turning as fast, but the kid got the point. So similarly, this material world makes you get the point after many births and deaths that this is not where I should be. Material activities are not going to satisfy me. But actually, you're never hurt because you're spirit soul. You're lost in a dream. I don't know if you've ever been in a room with someone who's having a nightmare. Any of the kids here share a room, or you all got your own room? Huh? Own room. No kids sharing room. Okay. You ever seen your brother, whoever's in the room with you, have a nightmare?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're awake. You're not having the nightmare, but you can see. Was he thrashing about? And
Yeah, she was like running around like a crazy.
and asleep.
Yeah.
And you were watching all this.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
At first I thought it was funny. and I was like, okay, I gotta go to sleep now. So I tried to get her to calm down.
You woke her up.
Yeah, I threw water on her face.
You threw water on her face. So you were awake and she was trapped in a nightmare. She was really suffering, but you could see again, she's not really suffering. She's just a dream.
Yeah.
So similarly, we're lost in the nightmare of material existence. We want to wake up and help others to wake up. So you threw some water on her face and brought her out of it, right? So you gave her liberation from the nightmare.
Yeah, but then she went to sleep and then it just happened again.
So we don't actually suffer in a nightmare. We don't actually suffer in the material world, but because we identify with the body and mind, it's suffering in that way. So please remember, Krishna not only creates this world, but he gives opportunity to understand him. He gives the information. He gives the knowledge. He gives the bhakti process. So it's not that Krishna just created this world and that's it. No, he inserted into this world the methodology for understanding him in truth. And therefore he says in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma jame divyam evam yo veti tatvata chatva deham punar janma naiti mameti sorjuna. If you could understand the transcendental mystery, the tattva of my appearance in this world and my activities, then upon giving up the present body, you won't take another material body. Mameti, you'll come to me. So as we approach Janmashtami, this is very important for us to meditate on. How can I understand Krishna in truth? That's the greatest knowledge. So finally, Krishna gives you some paradoxical, contradictory information about himself. Ajopi-san avyatma, bhutanam isvaropi-san, prakatam swamadishtaya sambhavami atmamaya. Although I'm unborn, aja, that's number one, unborn. Number two, avyatma, my transcendental body is never extinguished, never diminishes. It's number two. Number three, bhutanam isvaropi-san, although I'm the master, the controller of all conscious beings, still, what? I still come to the material world. Prakatim swamadishtaya, sambhavami atmamaya. But I come my way through my own conduit, my own portal, which is non-material, purely spiritual. I come by way of my internal spiritual potency. So please remember this paradox. You can think about it during the day as you go about your affairs in these days preceding Janmashtami. Krishna is unborn. His form never deteriorates. He's the controller of all living entities, yet he still comes to the material world. While being unborn and while having a body that never deteriorates and while being the Lord of all conscious beings, he still comes. But he comes his own way, unforced by material nature. Queen Kunti Devi in the first canto of Bhagavatam meditated on this paradox. How is it that the unborn takes birth? So please, as Janmashtami approaches, please think about understanding Krishna in truth. That is what makes the International Society for Krishna Consciousness special. It is presenting knowledge of Krishna in truth. Not hodgepodge, no confusion like Krishna is a concept. Bhagavad Gita as it is. Finding that authorized, genuine spiritual knowledge about Krishna is the rarest wealth you can acquire. So please help others to have that wealth. You have a very enthusiastic congregation here. Let others experience your enthusiasm, your bhakti, joy and enthusiasm. Krishna is unlimited. That means Krishna wants to see unlimited devotees, not because he has any need or any lack. We've been discussing this point at the Radha Govinda Mandir. Why does Krishna want more devotees? Isn't he perfect and complete in himself? Yes. But it's the symptom of his being unlimited that he wants unlimited devotees. It's hard for us to understand because we're not unlimited. You think, oh, Krishna, don't you have enough already? You've already got everything. What do you want out of me? But it's for our benefit that we come to Krishna. And if you help others to come to Krishna, then you become very dear to Krishna. If you help expand unlimitedly the number of devotees, then Krishna, the unlimited, becomes known to you and you catch his attention. When we hear Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita, surrender to me, he's not saying that because he needs something from you or he's incomplete in himself. He's saying that because he's unlimited and he wants you to share in his unlimitedness. Just like when a good father tells his son, Just do what I say. If the Father is good, that order to the Son is out of love. Do what I say and share in the harmony of this family. So that's what Krishna means when he says surrender to me. It's not that he's missing something, lacking something, and he has to get it from you. No, he wants you to share in his unlimited pleasure. Krishna's pleasure is the internal spiritual potency. He wants you to share in that. So please remember as you approach Janmashtami, what is special about Krishna? His form, his activities, his smile, his face, his affairs with his loving devotees. By thinking about this, we become closer to Krishna. By teaching others about this, we become especially closer to Krishna. So I thank you for having this enthusiastic gathering, and I hope that your numbers will increase. There's no shortage of conditioned souls in this world. Distribute books, distribute prasad, preach, cultivate, take care of devotees. In that way, you attract Krishna's attention. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Yes.
Maharaj, thank you. What happened to the Bhagavatam set that you were looking for?
I never got the books. The books hadn't come to New York yet. So I gave all the money, but I never got the books. After I moved into the temple in early 73, then the books arrived. Yes.
Another question about book, Maharaj. What was the first small book that you...
Transcendental Teachings of Prahlad Maharaj.
Thank you much.
And how was your first experience, the center event, when they invited you, you went to the temple to show investment?
I was very nervous going from Manhattan to Brooklyn. And I remember approaching as I got out of the subway and was walking to the temple. From 2 blocks away, I could hear the ching, 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 ching. Well, it was a very exotic sound. And I could smell the incense from 2 blocks away. So I didn't know what to expect. But I thought, I've given so much money, $20,000. I need to go examine this place, check it out. So I walked up the steps to the front door, and as soon as I opened the front door, there was a greeter there to welcome. He said, "Welcome! You've come to the right place." All my anxiety immediately faded. Come right in, take off your shoes, put your shoes here, go in the temple room, move your feet around to the kirtan. And then it was time for the feast. 13 preparations. Melpura, sweet rice. Halava that just floated in butter. So after the feast, I thought, yes, I should come back every Sunday. So that was October of 72. And by February of 73, I was living in the Brahmacharya ashram. Anything else? Yes.
How was your first experience with Srila Prabhupada?
When I first saw him, or
Like your experience and how you felt.
you could see he was not from this world. I first saw him, we met him at the airport. The whole temple went to greet him at JFK, February or March of '73. That's the first thing you could see. This person's not of this world. Of course, I had read so much that I was prepared. The first time I had personal association with him, that was Los Angeles when he came to my office at the BBT in June of '75. He walked in, and there were some leaders with him, some ISKCON leaders with him. I was just looking at Prabhupada's feet. And then the leaders said something that really embarrassed me. I was thinking, why are they telling this to Prabhupada? They said, Srila Prabhupada, this boy has graduated from Yale University. I said, what are they? This is mundane. What are they telling Prabhupada this? I just kept looking at Prabhupada's feet, begging, Prabhupada, I'm a fool, please save me from material existence. I thought, he's not going to pay attention to what they said. But he said, what's that? I said, oh no. Then I looked up at Prabhupada, and he was looking me up and down, head to toe. And he just said, That was it. Okay. Anything else? Yes.
Maharaj, how did your family react to when you joined the...
Oh, you don't want to ask that one, do you? You have to understand, this is 1972. No one knew anything about India except that it's a poor, starving country. There wasn't, all this yoga like today, and meditation and vegetarianism. It was nothing. People thought if you became a vegetarian, you would die from lack of protein. And the big wave of Indian immigration hadn't started yet. They changed the laws, in the 80s or 90s? So, yes, parents were very shocked. I'm the oldest son who achieved far beyond their expectations, scholarship to Yale University. I was a scholarship student actually since the age of 15, attending elitist boarding schools in New England. So, the parents were so happy. Then I graduate, and a few months later, they couldn't understand what I was doing. Yes, my father was very disturbed, extremely disturbed. My mother, out of affection for her, mothers are more affectionate, she just said, it's just a phase he's going through. He studied hard for so many years, boarding school, university, now he just needs a break, it's just a phase. The phase has lasted 48 years. I don't recommend to everyone to do what I did. I was just, for most persons, they should go on with their working life and add Krishna to it. But I wasn't meant for that. And since you asked about Srila Prabhupada emphasized that. When I went to a Sunday feast lecture, I just started living in the temple not as a brahmachari, but as a new person still wearing regular clothes and hair. And Prabhupada was giving the Sunday talk. And I was seated right in front of him, closer than where this young man is. I was maybe 2 feet in front of him. And suddenly he started roaring. If you're optimistic about material life, you're an animal. A human being must be pessimistic. Felt like the whole room was shaking. So, the way I explain it is that in every field you need specialists. It's not that everyone who goes to college becomes a university professor. Most students won't, but you do need some professors. So I guess I was meant for that. So certainly I don't advocate that everyone do exactly as I did. You see, Srila Prabhupada wanted assistance. Everything was new then. It's like during a military invasion, you just get everyone involved. It's a special circumstance with a lot of special credit to be given. So now, of course, as things are more established with the Krishna Conscious Society, we tell everyone, go be prudent, be balanced. Especially if you're coming from an Indian background, which has some tradition and some culture, just proceed with moderation. Just like Lord Chaitanya told Raghunath Das Goswami, who kept trying to run away from home. And Lord Chaitanya told him, why are you acting like a madman? Just calm down, do everything very discreetly, carefully. But this was 1972. You couldn't be Krishna conscious at home then. It's not possible. There's just no favorable circumstances. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada was just, come, just come out, come. Because he knew he wouldn't make it otherwise. So you have to consider the time, place, and circumstance. Okay, that's clear. So many of you have nice families. You can raise your children in Krishna Bhakti. ISKCON is established. You have gatherings here, there, everywhere. Temples, Mayapur Dham, Vrindavan Dham. But back then, there was nothing. Except Srila Prabhupada's association and his instructions. As far as material success, my brothers are doing that. So that pacified my parents. My middle brother's just retired as a CEO doctor of some big medical charity, funded $200 million a year. My youngest brother, he's a Harvard Law graduate. He is now, first he was the general counsel for all the legal affairs of the whole world of Toyota. Now he's in charge of all Toyota's manufacturing in the US, Canada, and Mexico. So that gives the parents, So if one of their children did something that they don't understand, at least the others, they are understandable. So, did I explain that satisfactorily? Anything else? Because this is such a personal environment here, you've got me to explain all these things. So if I was at a more formal temple environment, I wouldn't say these things. But I'm very thankful for every minute that I'm able to give in Srila Prabhupada's service. I have no regrets. Why did I do that? Why did I become a brahmachari and then a sannyasi? No regrets. Thankful. At the same time, I recognize there are different approaches for different types, different circumstances. So again, I thank you all for having such a nice place here to gather and express your bhakti enthusiasm. And please take advantage of Krishna Janmashtami and Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja to increase your bhakti enthusiasm and even more. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.